What's up, everybody? It's Critical. I want to talk about something very serious today. In many ways, this will probably be the most serious video I've ever made. It's something very near and dear to my heart. And I'm sure many of you are already familiar with the controversy, the conspiracy, if you will. I know I'm a little tardy to the party on this subject, but it's the Berenstein vs. Berenstein Bears. Now, I'm sure many of you, like me, remember these beloved children's books as the Berenstein Bears, but apparently it's always been the Berenstein Bears by Stan and Jan Berenstein, not Berenstein. And that's just Baren bullshit. I know it was Steen because I used to have to write a weekly book report on a different Berenstein Bears book each week, and it was always Steen in my report. And, strangely enough, I used to actually pronounce it Berenstain, but I was constantly corrected by the teacher and my parents saying, "Charlie, take that Brillo pad out of your fucking mouth and say it the correct way or you're not getting food tonight. It is Steen, not Stain." So eventually I learned that it was Steen, and I used to eat Brillo pads, but that's a conspiracy theory for a different day. And the reason I even I thought it was Stain to begin with was because I didn't know the sounds E-I-N would make, and it was very close to the ending to Stain, which was A-I-N, and Pain, which was A-I-N, so I thought it would make the same sound. So the fact that they're trying to say it's always been shit stain bears is just absolute nonsense, because that is absolutely wrong, and that has been drilled into my head that it was never Stain and has always been Steen. Now, let's see where this all started. In 2012, someone made a blog post talking about how they'd come to the realization that it's always been the Berenstein Bears, and they'd talked to everyone they knew, and they always knew it as the Berenstein Bears. And he said the only logical explanation for this is that our universe overlapped with a parallel universe and a lot of very subtle changes occurred, one of them being Steen changed to Stain. However, he neglected to mention that I was also directly affected with this overlapping. I used to have a 9-inch dick, I know that for a fact, but now I'm left with just the standard 6-incher. But that's alright, I guess, because the bigger issue here is this Berenstein Bears issue. And then this really caused a lot of outrage, like a lot of confusion, because the majority of people remember it as the Berenstein Bears. In fact, a very small percentage know it as Stain Bears. So how can so many people have such vivid memories of it being Berenstein and not Berenstain? Well, it's called the Mandela effect, and the Mandela effect is basically when a large number of people have very, very clear memories that they know and are certain have happened, but in reality have not happened. And it gets its name from Nelson Mandela, whom many believe died in prison, when in reality, that is false. So the conspiracy gained traction and got a lot of attention, so much so that the son of Stan and Jan Berenstein commented on the blog post saying, "Hey, come on, pussy farts, cut the monkey business, stop it, you silly sailors. It's always been Berenstain, not Berenstein. They all want to pronounce it Steen, but it's Stain. Ever since I was a kid, they call me Steen. It's Stain, though. Just by applying Occam's razor, it's just you've all misheard it and misread it your whole lives, and you're just dumb people. And Occam's razor is just the simplest solution is the right one. It's that way of thinking. Cut off everything you don't need, you're left with the simplest solution, which is the correct one. So that's the official explanation for this whole debacle, that we've all just misheard or misread it our whole lives, and that we're just wrong. But I don't necessarily believe the parallel universe theory, but I do think there is something awry here, because I know it wasn't Stain. I wouldn't have these memories of me feeling very stupid by saying Stain when it was Steen. It's a fucking complicated situation, and Berenstain fucking sucks as a name. Sounds like a knockoff of the real Berenstein, where the Berenstein Bears get into some shady shit. Berenstein Bears, big honey is about to nut. Berenstein Bears, trouble with the drug cartel. Berenstein Bears, forget their condoms. It's just, that doesn't work. Berenstein Bears sounds like the international celebrated treasure that it is. So I decided to do my own research to try and blow this case wide open, to crack this nut. So I went on Wikipedia to see who published the Berenstein Bears when, and then my plan was to go on archive.org and use the Wayback Machine to go to the publishers' websites from back in the 90s and see when it was what it was listed as, whether it was Steen or Stain on their catalogs. But I discovered something very disturbing, something that I'm pretty sure has landed me on a list, and I wouldn't be surprised if book assassins came to my door right now. So it turns out, if you search any of the publishers' websites, any of them, and you go through their catalog, you will not find the Berenstein or Berenstein Bears anywhere on there, which is bizarre considering in the 90s and early 2000s, that's when it was in its prime and really selling like a motherfucker, so it's weird that it wouldn't be on their website. But luckily you can find the Dick King Trivia Contest, which unfortunately I missed the deadline for. Would have really loved to have entered that one. But there is no mention of the Berenstein or Stein Bears until you get into around 2005 on the publisher's websites, where it is on the front fucking page, Berenstein Bears. It's incorrect there. That's unfortunate. But what really gives me the heebie-jeebies in a sense that there's definitely something amiss here is that you just can't find the Berenstein or Stein Bears on any old website where there's books. I've checked libraries too, old library catalogs, and there's no Berenstein or Stein Bears there either. So it's almost as if before the Berenstein Bears switch, whenever that happened, which was around 2005 apparently, they just didn't exist at all. It's just very strange. So I also did a little more research and found a website dedicated to proving that it's Berenstein and always has been in this reality, called BerensteinBears.weebly, and they have a lot of newspaper articles with the Berenstein spelling there, as well as TV program guides that have Berenstein there. And one that I find pretty interesting is this right here. This is a professional textbook, and it has Berenstein listed multiple times in the index. Now that could be attributed to a typo, as well many of these could, but for something like this, I find it very unlikely that they'd make the same typo that many times, especially in a professional textbook. They'd really fact-check that, as would a lot of these sources. And I decided to go to the Wayback Machine to see if these were photoshopped, and I corroborated the few that I looked at. I didn't want to go through all of them because that's just a fucking extremely tedious task. But I didn't think that was good enough because you can fake a lot of this shit, and especially the ones where you see the piles of books with Berenstein on them, that could easily be photoshopped. But one piece of evidence that I really find could be the deciding factor in this case is this right here. This clip, this little clipping, this excerpt, where it has Berenstein spelling as well as the book title there. But if you zoom in, you just can't make out if it says Stein or Steen. But if you could somehow get that enhanced enough where you could actually read it and you could see the spelling, that would once and for all settle the debate on Steen versus Stein. But for now, I'm going to keep knowing that it is Berenstein, and anything short of that I just will not accept. I would rather watch the world burn to ash than accept that it has always been Berenstein Bears. So I know I'm really chiming in on this subject way after people have already forgotten about it, but this has really altered my universe. It has crashed what I thought was my universe. In fact, I'm pretty sure the universe has stopped expanding now. So yeah, that's about it. See ya. Arthur is a television program many of us are familiar with. On the surface, it seems like a wholesome TV show that teaches kids important values and also is an entertaining show for younger audiences. But what if I told you there was something far more sinister afoot with this television show? Would you believe me? Or would you get mad at me and punch me like Arthur punched DW in episode 1 of season 4? There's no better example for the evil nature hiding behind the mask of innocence Arthur wears than episode 15 of season 3, overall episode number 65 of the Arthur television series, aired in 1998. This episode is filled to the brim with terrifying visuals and is honestly just downright fucking depraved. Now it's time to go over the scariest moments of Arthur, episode number 65. The episode is called Arthur and DW Clean Up. Now to an ordinary Cro-Magnon, a layman, a non-high IQ Rick and Morty viewer, the title Clean Up would imply they clean up their room, which is what the episode attempts to portray. Arthur and DW go through the struggle of cleaning up their room, a hassle all of us are familiar with. We have to put our toys in the toy box, and we slide our booby titty magazines and cum rags under the bed to hide them from our parents. But the title here, Arthur and DW Clean Up, is quite interesting. Clean up. It has multiple interpretations. Perhaps Arthur and DW cleaning up their act. Maybe they've done something wrong. They're up to no good. Maybe even cleaning up blood. Cleaning up a murder. Trying to keep it under wraps so it remains a cold case. Food for thought. The episode begins with Arthur going over blueprints to his dream bedroom. We're taken inside the mind of a psychopath to see it firsthand for ourselves. It looks like the fucking Citadel from Mass Effect. He then takes us on a bit of a tour showing off the rooms MTV Cribs style. All very simple enough. I'm disappointed to say there wasn't a single masturbatorium on display. And until he gets to this room, nothing would seem out of the ordinary. but he opens this door and calls it his wobbly room. Does this look like a wobbly room to you? I think the idea was this is all made out of jello, so he would go in there and wobble around. But this is very clearly not just jello. Each thing in here represents a different organ in the human body. And it seems Arthur has taken each one out of a different victim and put them on display here. This isn't a wobbly room. This is a fucking trophy room. This is as much a wobbly room as a single Magic Treehouse book laying in a large Amazon warehouse would be a library. This is disgusting. Arthur is a lunatic. The episode progresses. Arthur makes little progress cleaning his room. The next morning, something disturbing unfolds in the kitchen of the Arthur residence.
I'm drowning! Help me!
DW is showing clear signs of violent tendencies, perhaps even intermittent explosive disorder. There is something very strange with this young lady. There's a clear lack of remorse while drowning this poor action figure. In fact, there's even a smile upon her face and a mocking, "Oh, I'm drowning." Could this perhaps be DW's preferred method of killing her victims? Drowning? Could she be some type of serial killer in this universe? Perhaps the slippery splish splash slasher? Who knows? Out of nowhere, in an unsettling scene, Arthur is transmuted into this abomination. Something straight out of Lovecraft's mind. And it's not just Arthur. Buster, too, suffers the same cruel fate. This is body horror the likes of which cartoons have never seen before. In fact, even adults would be caught off guard and squeamish upon seeing something this horrifying. This type of body horror puts the Hellraiser series to shame. And they hid it within this cartoon. In fact, they didn't even hide it. It's hiding in plain sight. But what could have done this to them? Well, there's a subtle hint on the way to Arthur's room. Look at this poster. That means radiation. Now, perhaps what this means is, and this is just speculation based on scientific evidence, the entire city here was demolished in a nuclear detonation. And the real forms of Arthur and Buster are what we see here in these radioactive monsters, and what we're seeing throughout the television show is just a dream sequence had by the real Arthur and Buster and their mini arms. Just a thought. While cleaning out Arthur's room, DW finds this. She calls it a popsicle stick in the show, but it's very clearly not a popsicle stick. That right there is a pregnancy test. Now the results are obscured. I personally believe the pregnancy test is positive because just a bit later DW finds a love note from Francine. DW can't read, so she can't read it to the viewers, and the words are obstructed when you freeze frame here. However, why would Arthur have a pregnancy test and a love note? I believe the pregnancy test was positive, and the note came from Francine saying that she's going to keep the baby that Arthur fucked into her. How Arthur reacted is up to speculation. However, it could be one of two things. He disposed of her because he didn't want her keeping the baby, or he was so proud he kept the pregnancy test and the note as a reminder of that wonderful day. I'm unsure of which one it is. Perhaps the creators can come out and shed some light on this so we get closure, but regardless, the message is foul. Premarital coitus with underage participants? What are you thinking, creators of Arthur? Eventually, Arthur's room gets fully cleaned. He then fucks up helping DW clean her room, and then he goes to the park for happy, crazy, fun, wow day. He gets to jump on trampolines, he meets Pennywise the clown, and then he executes a man in plain sight. In a dunk tank, Arthur throws a bullseye shot from an unfairly close distance. He didn't earn that dunk in the tank. But alas, the mechanism triggers, and the man falls into the shark-infested waters below, and he never resurfaces. The episode ends shortly after, and Arthur's kill count in this episode, 1. So, you decide for yourself. Innocent kids show, or something far more sinister? You be the judge. I'm sure by now the majority of you know that I fucking love conspiracy theories. I love to just spread a conspiracy theory's cheeks wide open as far as possible and just dive in and get to the meat of it and really see what it's all about. See if maybe there's any truth to it. I just love it. And luckily my nipples have been tickled thoroughly thanks to a brand new conspiracy theory popping off online about Wayfair trafficking human beings, children, through their website. I haven't been this interested in a conspiracy theory since the Berenstein Bears versus the Berenstein Bears multiversal collapse theory. This is an incredible conspiracy theory, and I can't wait to share it with all of you and present my findings. Spoiler alert, this is a pretty fucking wacky one. This one's like believing in reptilians or believing that Jesus Christ died because of Fortnite or something. This one is fucking insane. So let's go ahead and start at the beginning. This conspiracy theory developed on the home of intellectuals, Reddit. It was blown open by someone on Reddit presenting some evidence that these expensive cabinets had names that matched missing children's reports. And from this, people started to just spiral out of control. Wow, oh wow, this is fucked up, this is weird. Why are these cabinets so expensive? And why does it have the name of a missing child? And there's cabinets that look identical with different names on them that all correspond to a missing child report. And it's not just cabinets, there's also pillows that are like $10,000 that also have the names that correspond to a missing child on them. And the question arose, well, why are they so expensive? And when there's other products similar to it, why are they like $30 versus the $10,000 for this one pillow with this weird name on it? So people then started to connect the dots. They started to see the strings that hold the universe together and really piece together the truth. And they came to the conclusion that people must be sex trafficking children through Wayfair, obviously, as any rational conclusion would lead you to. And when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, it's kind of fucking weird, right? Like, why are these cabinets so expensive? And a pillow, I'm not paying $10,000 for a pillow unless it's coming with 15 strippers or something and a nice giant fucking birthday cake. I mean, why is it worth $10,000? And then I decided to look into it today, and it goes deep. This is a fucking rabbit hole. I mean, Tom Hanks comes into play here. Tom Hanks is apparently like the Thanos of Wayfair sex trafficking. Like, it's weird. So first and foremost, for those that don't know, Wayfair is a website where you can buy furniture and just like household shit. Typically supposed to be affordable things, but recently people noticed that there's this extremely expensive shit like this here that has a name that matched a missing person. Or so they thought. It turns out the majority of the people that they've used in their examples in this conspiracy are children that have been found, and a lot of these kids, they themselves have come forward and said, hey, look, I'm not actually missing.
And then he gonna put his little, why is your caption even that? That don't even make sense. If you posting motherfuckers who actually missing, you trying to get motherfuckers to share the shit, what are y'all talking about? Y'all all sound stupid talking about why am I mad? Because I'm not missing. Fuck out of here.
Now, a lot of people in the comments on Twitter and on Instagram that I've seen were actually attacking the girl in the video I just showed you, saying that she must be in on it. You know, she must have just broken out of the cabinet she was sold in and is being forced at gunpoint to say these things, which is really weird to just start attacking her for being upset that people are perpetuating the idea that she was literally sold into sex slavery. That's a pretty fucking bold thing to say. That'd be something that'd make me mad if people were like, hey, Charlie, I remember when he was 14 years old, he was sold into sex slavery. I'd be like, hey, wait a minute. No, it wasn't. And that's kind of a mean thing to say. That just didn't happen. But people are so wrapped up in this conspiracy theory, they don't care that it was just outright disproven that this girl is not missing, nor she was sold in the cabinet. They just fall into this delusion and this crazy amount of denial where that doesn't matter. No. See, in fact, this actually proves our point, because she's clearly being held on a UFO that ordered this cabinet from Wayfair, and now they've mind-controlled her to say these things, so obviously it proves that we're right, and all kinds of crazy bullshit. It's like a shitty B-movie plot. And it's not just this girl that was revealed to not be missing, nor has ever been, like, sold in a cabinet. A lot of the popular pictures that were circulating, you could look up those kids and then find stories about when they were found earlier. Like, they were never in a Wayfair, you know, shipment facility or anything like that. Like this kid here with this pillow. People speculated that the pillow must not have any stuffing in it. It was stuffed with the kid's bones and blood. When it turns out, no, you know, this kid was found quite a while ago. And now just because a lot of the kids were found and were never shipped through the evil laboratory of Wayfair or anything like that, it didn't stop the conspiracy theory. That didn't halt it in its tracks. People still believed it. And that's fine. You know, maybe there was isolated cases like, oh, we were wrong here. That doesn't mean the whole thing's wrong. Just because these were false doesn't mean it's all false. But it does, because, I mean, you can actually prove exactly why it's all wrong. We won't even go into Wayfair's official statement, we'll get to that in a second, but let's just use some common sense here. I believe the statistic is 1,250 missing kids are reported every day. 500,000 every year. Something like that, in that general ballpark. That's a lot of fucking names. That's a ton of fucking names. You could probably find some, like, Xbox Live gamertag level names in a sample size that big. Like, fucking XX Shadow Slayer went missing a year ago. And you could find, like, an XX Shadow Slayer Wayfair pillow that's $9,000, I bet. It's a lot of names is what I'm saying. So it's not impossible, that these companies chose a random name that happened to correspond to someone who went missing. And a lot of them are very common names. There's one that was circulating on Twitter that was Annabelle. Annabelle's a super fucking common name, and they just took that Annabelle listing of an expensive cabinet and matched it up with an Annabelle that was missing. You know, that's not a good connection. It's a very common name. That's clearly something that could happen on accident. But then there are those like really specific ones like I showed you with that boy and that pillow. But even that kid was found. He wasn't missing, and he wasn't ever stuffed inside of a pillow like some kind of crazy fucking Frankenstein experiment. He was just found. So it's not unfathomable that these random names they chose just coincided with kids that were missing at some point. But why were they so expensive? That's the biggest question. Why the fuck are these mediocre items so expensive? And I found the answer, or at least the answer the government, the man, wants us to see, I suppose, if you still want to subscribe to the conspiracy. A lot of resellers, what they'll do, when the item is out of stock, they jack the price up to an absurd level that they know nobody's going to try and buy, so that way they can keep it listed, as opposed to saying it's out of stock and taking it off listing. They jack the price up, they hold its spot until it's back in stock, and then they drop it back down. That's the tactic I saw a lot of people talking about that actually use Wayfair. That's what they were saying is commonly done there. I think that's a dumb practice, and Wayfair themselves have cracked down on it, it seems. Wayfair's statement says, you know, that obviously it's all wrong, but we did take these down because the names and the pictures don't exactly match why they're as expensive as they are, and the practices or some shit like that. It wasn't a great statement that did nothing to help their case in it being false. It just made it even more confusing because they just took the shit down, which made a lot of people believe that Wayfair was admitting guilt and hiding something. But according to a lot of people that use Wayfair, it's not something uncommon where they jack this price up to a point where no one's going to buy it just so they can hold their listing. And that does make sense. It makes a lot more sense than fucking pedophiles using Wayfair to sex traffic children. Are there sex trafficking rings from like extremely wealthy, powerful people? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah, there's a ton of evidence to point to that. But I highly doubt they're operating through Wayfair. That's like saying these people are using, fucking Twitch to start trafficking children through an XQC chat. You know, it doesn't make any sense. Why would they be using something like that to do some shit like that? They'd be using the dark web or something. They wouldn't be going on fucking Wayfair just in the public's eye right under their nose like some kind of comical supervillain trying to fool everyone by doing everything in broad daylight. That just wouldn't happen. These are public listings. Someone could have accidentally ordered one of these expensive items. What's going to happen? They buy this cabinet and then all of a sudden they have a kid shipped to them. They open the box and then bang, a kid pops out and they're just fucking jump scared. Oh, whoa. Where's my cabinet? That's just not how it would happen. In fact, I actually tried to test this myself. I went on Wayfair with every intention of buying one of those $10,000 pillows that matched the name of a missing kid, and I was like, shit, this is going to be expensive as fuck. I'm either going to get a terrible pillow or I'm going to save a kid's life. It's worth it. But I couldn't place the order because the fucking item didn't exist, which made me more convinced that, yes, this is probably just a common practice where when the item isn't in stock and it's not there, they just jack the price up, hoping nobody places an order or tries to, and wait until it's back in stock to drop it back down, just so they don't lose listing. This is another thing I saw develop today, actually. A lot of people saying that the CEO of Wayfair has resigned. Well, the problem with that is it's not true. He hasn't resigned. There's no reports of him resigning. Unless this Twitter account right here is like working with the, NSA or some shit, the CIA, and he's got some insider information, then I don't know what to tell you. But according to every possible fucking source, the guy has not resigned. He is still the CEO of Wayfair. So this is just an outright lie. Now we get to the main course. Everything I just told you about this conspiracy and all that shit, just an appetizer. Now it's time for the entree. And trust me, it's not raw. This is coming out well done. Tom Hanks, the puppet master. Beloved actor? No. Demon. Fiend. Tom Hanks has been roped into all of this because of one old Instagram post. This right here. It's a picture of a glove next to some chalk that says SRC USA or something similar. That's what it looks like. And this post right here is a very suspicious one. Now, admittedly, this is a weird fucking Instagram post. I don't know why Tom Hanks would just take a picture of a glove on the ground next to some fucking street chalk or anything like that. But its correlation to everything going on here. People, Reddit detectives and Twitter experts, the analysts, they were able to crack the code. They realized if you type in a lot of the item numbers onto a Russian search engine called Yandex, it brought up pictures of children. So if you typed in SRC USA and a bunch of numbers, it brings up pictures of children on a Russian search engine. So they speculated these were pictures of the kids that were being sold in those cabinets. Or being sold with the cabinets. It varies depending on who you talk to on whether or not the kids were actually stuffed in the furniture or just came with it or something. It's, as like some kind of package deal, like batteries included or something. It varies on who you talk to, but that was the speculation. You type in this shit, you do it on the Yandex, and you get an image of what you're buying or some shit like that. And Tom Hanks has this really weird picture that does have something that looks like it says SRC USA. Except in this case, it goes so far above Tom Hanks, it's laughable. This is bigger than Tom Hanks. This goes all the way to the top. This incriminates the construction and utility workers. You see, SRC USA is construction utility code for Underground Service Alert. It's to let other workers know that, hey, at this location, with these, the white brackets and chalk there you can see, there is something that runs underneath the pavement, whether it be a power line, cable, water, it doesn't matter. There's something running underneath there, so just be aware. You can find this shit marked on streets all over the place. It's not something unique to Tom Hanks. I don't think he went out there with sidewalk chalk and wrote SRC USA to brag and then threw a glove on the ground. It's a stupid fucking picture. It's a weird, like, creepy little picture. The caption was like, give me a high five or something. I don't know. It's a weird picture. You're not going to argue that. But that right there is just an extremely common thing that you can see probably outside of your own house right now if you want to experiment. It's nothing unusual because it's actual just construction utility code. And that pretty much sums up Tom Hanks' involvement because of that one Instagram post. I don't think it goes any deeper than that I could find. But just because that's wrong doesn't mean the whole thing's wrong. I mean, Tom Hanks could still be this evil mastermind behind all of it. I don't know, he could pull in the strings. Maybe he has equity in Wayfair. I couldn't tell you. But in this case, I don't think Wayfair is selling human beings through their website. I don't think that's what's going on here. But again, just because everything about this conspiracy theory is wrong doesn't mean the conspiracy theory's wrong, It's 2020, baby. We believe anything, whether or not it's factually true or not. Who gives a fuck? And that's about it. See ya. Yeah, I love conspiracy theories, but this shit is getting out of hand. There's a new insane conspiracy every single day, just some wacky, goofy shit. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fucking group on Twitter that thinks Reptar cereal is the instrument of Hillary Clinton to brainwash children into worshiping the devil or some garbage. You see it all over the internet every single day with these people that like to think that they're so special and intellectually enlightened that they have opened their third, fourth, and fifth eye, they've awakened their Sharingan, and now they're seeing the truth behind everything. There's nothing wrong with questioning things. It's extremely healthy and extremely important to do, but when you question every single thing ever and discredit science and come up with some actual diarrhea dog shit, maybe you're the crazy person. Like, you have people saying, water's evil. In fact, we've been lied to all our lives. The human body doesn't require water. In fact, water was cursed by Bill Gates over 3 millennia ago, and we're not even drinking water. We're drinking a mind control potion that Bill Gates has got to us. In fact, the only fluid we should be consuming is a Diet Coke via enema. Please join me, enlightened brothers, and then you'll have like 50,000 people on that Facebook page that all agree with that. It's just crazy shit. Like the Wayfair conspiracy is another big one where everyone said they were human trafficking people in fucking wardrobes and shit and pillows. It's actual nonsense, but everyone likes to think that they're seeing the truth, which is what makes conspiracy so appealing. And once you get ingrained in a conspiracy, once you start believing in it, you're never going to change that belief, or at least the majority of people don't. Like flat earthers, for example. Flat earthers are like Looney Tunes villains that can't do anything fucking right to support their point. Flat earthers in their own documentaries have proven themselves wrong multiple times and then just throw that away. Like in the end of the most recent documentary I can think of on flat earthers, they proved the earth is round with their own experiment and they said, that's interesting. Must have done something wrong. Even doing their own experiment perfectly correct and proving the earth was round, they just said, no, it's still flat, even though this proved it was round with our own science. You can't convince people of these things because they just don't want to believe it. They'd rather stay believing in some garbage to make themselves still feel like they're special. Like people that think the moon is fake, you could literally fly them to the moon and they would say it doesn't exist. They'd say you drug them and just put them in Nevada on a CGI set or something. No matter how many times and how thoroughly these awful conspiracies get debunked, people are always going to believe them. it is what it is, so now I just kind of enjoy the chaos of it all. And there's been some absolute bangers when it comes to bullshit conspiracies recently, like spirit cooking is a really good one. There's also a wild one about the tablets of Thoth being used to resurrect an ancient deity from the underworld who's going to rise and exterminate Earth for its sin. Another really cool one I've been into is that Atlantis is real, and the previous god of Atlantis is very upset with the state of the world, so to get back at us, he started cloning celebrities. I don't know how exactly that, punishes us to just clone celebrities, but apparently that's what the god of Atlantis is doing, according to a bunch of people. It's just some really fucking incredible stuff. Like, these conspiracies make Sonic the Hedgehog fan fiction sound sane. And when I mention conspiracies like this, it's not like one person who's having some kind of bad acid trip and writing this shit down in some kind of journal. It's communities of people that believe this. I'm deep into conspiracy Facebook groups and stuff, just kind of reading about all of it and getting a little bit of a giggle out of it. But admittedly, it is sad to see people genuinely believe some of these things and be fearful of this boogeyman who's coming from like the 12th dimension as a time-traveling pedophile to steal away people's families or something. It is sad to see people kind of believe these things and act so out of fear online about shit that absolutely isn't true at all. But that being said, I thought it'd be fun to add some fuel to this fire here, and I'll bring up a conspiracy that I believe in. I'm sure some of you might remember this. Berenstein versus Berenstein Bears. I made a video on this a few years back, kind of blowing this shit wide open and spreading the cheeks of this conspiracy to get into the meat of it. And I think it's time, in the current climate of things, we reopen this one. We gotta open this wound up again and pour some salt on it and figure out what the fuck is going on. So, to break down the Berenstein versus Berenstein Bears conspiracy, growing up, there was a very popular book series called the Berenstein Bears. Or at least that's what the government and the reality puppeteers would have you believe. What I remember growing up, having written reports on this book series, was it was always called the Berenstein Bears. And the majority of people in my age range, 25 years old, also remember it as Berenstein Bears. However, if you check the so-called official records and the history of this planet, you'll realize that it's never been called the Berenstein Bears. It's always been Berenstain. There wasn't some kind of rebranding from Steen to Stain. It has always existed as the Berenstein Bears. When I learned about this, I went back through all of my Berenstein Bears books to see, for proof, look, it was called Berenstein, only to realize in shock and horror that my once authentic Berenstein Bears books had been subtly changed to Berenstain. As if some kind of adjustment bureau, some kind of, legion of tooth fairies or something came in when I wasn't looking and they very subtly changed the name to Stain over Steen. Semi-chubbed and in a panic, I began searching throughout the entire internet for proof that it was once Berenstein Bears in this corporeal dimension we inhabit. However, everything points to the fact that it was always Berenstain Bears. So then what's the explanation? Well, most people chalk this up to the Mandela effect. For those that don't know, the Mandela effect is when a large group of people remember events differently than they actually occurred. Basically, it's just a large group of people that misremember something, and oftentimes when faced with the truth, people say the truth is wrong because they have these vivid memories that don't match up with it. And yes, memories aren't the most reliable source when it comes to figuring out what's real and what actually happened. However, in this case, fuck you. I am not wrong. You can hold my nutsack in your goddamn mouth. It was definitely Berenstein Bears at some point over the last 25 years. Like I said, I used to write reports on these goddamn things, and I used to write it as Berenstein Bears, because I didn't know what the fuck steen was, but I knew what a stain was, obviously, because I was fucking staining my diapers with fucking shit constantly, so I knew what a stain was. So I'd write Berenstain, only to lose points on my reports, teachers just fucking scratching it out. Charlie, you're never gonna make it in college with this kind of garbage. Because they said it's not Stain, it's Steen, so I'd lose points, and then I got it really fucking ingrained in me that it's Berenstein instead of Stain. So this has like a personal connection with me. I fucking know it. I still believe it. And so, what is the other explanation? Well, a lot of highly intellectual truth seekers believe that at some point in the last 25 years, the multiverse has collapsed in on itself. So the multiverse theory suggests there's infinite number of universes, and at some point in the last 25 years, our Berenstein timeline collapsed on top of the Berenstain timeline, causing subtle changes in the two, as we transformed into this Autobot of disappointment. And that's why we're left with Berenstein instead of Steen, and only some of us remember it as Steen instead of Stain. The chosen few, the cream of the crop that remember it as Berenstein. So there's a fun little conspiracy to play around with, I think. Hey, that one's got some meat to it, I will say. The Berenstein versus Berenstain one that one's near and dear to my boners. Like, that shit I think is really weird. Because, like I said, I really do remember getting points off for writing Stain, because I thought it was Berenstain as a kid, but I was told it was Berenstein. And I wish I could find those reports, but obviously I don't have homework from 20 years ago. But anyway, yeah, that's about it. See ya. You all know I'm a big fan of conspiracy theories, as long as they're harmless, fun ones, such as, reptilians controlling the world, talking about, like, zippers on the sides of some powerful people's necks that reveal a giant lizard underneath the human skin suit. Flat Earth is always a classic fun one to play with. But then there's they're very dangerous ones, and I think one of them that's really taking a huge upswing in the amount of people that believe it is 5G causing the coronavirus. A month ago, this was a fucking joke across the entire internet. But now, in the last month, everyone's quarantined, locked down, desperate, bored, and I think they're getting fucking dumber. Because there's so many people that are now unironically believing 5G is the cause of coronavirus that I actually can't believe it. These same people probably believe chocolate milk comes from brown cows. It takes mere minutes of research outside of Facebook anti-vax groups, actual scientific research. It takes only minutes to immediately disprove that and find there is no connection between 5G towers and coronavirus. That shouldn't be shocking to the majority of people, but to some people, I'm speaking blasphemy. I am a puppet of the Illuminati to some people for saying that, because these people see the truth. These high school dropouts that failed every fucking course, no, they're the ones that understand the 5G connection to coronavirus, not the scientists, not the experts. These fucking limp-dicked fucking idiots sitting in their basement for fear that the government's listening to them through their alarm clock so they have a tinfoil hat and condom on. Those are the real intellectuals. And they're spreading this kind of shit on the internet, which is laughable and it's fun to make fun of. But now they're starting to set cell phone towers on fire? It's fucking crazy. It's getting actually dangerous now. So, how did this start? I'm not here to be a fucking science professor, so I'm not going to tackle every angle of this. I'm just going to point out the most common and the most obvious fallacies in this logic of 5G being the coronavirus culprit, the one that's really controlling it all, and how the government, big brothers, got us under their thumb. They don't want us to see the earth is really flat, so they're using coronavirus to keep us inside and erect more 5G towers. We'll start with the origin of this conspiracy, at least in regards to coronavirus. In China, Wuhan, a 5G tower was rolled out at the end of 2019, so just a little bit before coronavirus broke out, and people are attributing the tower as the cause. That is ground zero of coronavirus. The tower caused it. That's pretty much where that logic ends. And then as it spreads to the United States, they're saying the 5G towers are the cause of coronavirus in the US. Not because it's contagious through, spreading and being around people, but because the towers themselves are emitting too much radiation and it's causing the coronavirus. And the coronavirus itself isn't even real. It's a made-up hoax to cover for radiation poisoning. I've spent a few hours researching the conspiracy theory and looking around what everyone says on Twitter in these circles that truly believe this stuff, and they seem to all agree that coronavirus itself isn't real. What it is just radiation sickness, because the symptoms of radiation sickness are similar to those that are being reported with coronavirus. So that's basically the whole conspiracy in a nutshell. And it is fucking ridiculous. So 5G towers have existed in the US since early 2019. While the idea of 5G has existed much longer, and most people seem to think we've had 5G for longer, we really didn't start getting 5G until early 2019 with actual towers and everything being built around the US. Those aren't make-believe. That's not like Tooth Fairy shit. It's real. You can go see those 5G towers in the real world in person. It's not smoke and mirrors, no magic tricks. That shit is there, and it has been there since 2019. There were no cases of coronavirus in the US throughout all of 2019, and there were no cases of coronavirus in the US until the China incident where coronavirus started to explode. And then you know how the story goes from there. It spread throughout the entire world. But they seem to think that it's not actually spreading from human to human contact. It's being transmitted via the beams from the towers of 5G. That seems to be their accepted belief. I'm going to immediately poke a hole in that. Israel has 7,400 cases of coronavirus with 39 dead. Israel has no 5G towers. None. So how the fuck can that happen by this logic? Some enlightened Twitter users will be quick to point out that the radiation sickness was transferred. Someone who was infected by a tower in the US or some other part of the world traveled to Israel and started spreading it that way. Well, that's impossible via your radiation sickness hypothesis because radiation sickness isn't contagious. You watched Chernobyl on HBO and you think you understand everything there is to know about radiation. Well, I'll tell you one thing Chernobyl got wrong. You are not some kind of walking fucking virus with radiation sickness. If someone you know has radiation sickness, they cannot transfer that onto you. If their entire fucking clothes, their entire wardrobe is covered in dense radiation and they try and suffocate you with that, maybe. But as a whole, radiation sickness itself is not contagious. So, you'd have to immediately throw out the radiation sickness hypothesis because it wouldn't be able to spread. It'd have to be coronavirus, which does exist and is very, very contagious, which is why people are being ordered to stay inside. If it was radiation poisoning, radiation sickness, it wouldn't matter if you were around 1,000 people. No one is going to catch that from you. It's easy to poke 1,000 different holes into this 5G coronavirus conspiracy. You can turn this shit into a fucking pincushion because it is so weak. But so many people still believe it just because I think they want to. They want to believe it's something bigger, like some like grand conspiracy, just the man trying to keep them down or something. It's so silly. If you look into it yourself, it's going to be hard not to laugh at it because the leaps and these conclusions they draw are so nonsensical. It's ridiculous. I just picked two quick ones to point out because those are the two most obvious ones that they have really no answer for that I've seen. And I'm sure there's going to be some comments on the video that immediately disregard shit and still try and promote the idea that 5G coronavirus thing is real, which is just pathetic. But anyway, I know I don't need to poke holes in it because it's already so goddamn silly if you even look at it for a second. I don't like having to be your fucking science teacher here. I graduated from university with a human sciences degree, so I do understand a lot of this stuff. Granted, I'm not as brushed up on the whole field as I used to be, because, I barely fucking use that knowledge anymore. But I do get it, and I understand where this fear comes from. You're locked inside, you're desperate, you're looking for answers, and you have no idea what else to turn to. So Twitter has this giant fucking platform full of lunatics that seem to believe this and are promoting it as a real thing. And since you're constantly on Twitter with nothing else to do besides jerk off and read garbage Twitter posts, you see this, and you start to accept it. I get it, and I'm not blaming those people. But it is a very dangerous thing to just blindly follow this shit with no science and not doing any research on it at all. Now, what I do find interesting is there is a community of real scientists that are apprehensive about 5G's implementation and the future of 5G and what health implications it could have down the line. The conspiracy side of things is using this to promote the idea that scientists are afraid of it and they think that the scientists believe that it caused coronavirus. That couldn't be further from the truth. None of those scientists that are afraid of 5G's implications down the line have said anything about it being coronavirus related, which is what I'm focusing on. The scientists' main concern is they haven't been able to study the long-term health effects of what 5G could do in the future. There's nothing about coronavirus or anything like that. This community just wants a little more research done on 5G before it's implemented, and they think it's perhaps a bit rushed. It has nothing to do with the fucking scientists thinking that it's the cause of coronavirus. Again, this isn't a small community either. If you look up any 5G video on YouTube right now, it's overwhelmingly disliked with thousands of comments saying, "This is bullshit, don't trust them, rise up sheeple, it's time we take back our lives, don't let them control our minds. Don't let anyone tell you what to believe," as they're being told what to believe by somebody else. I'm all for questioning the media and questioning sources and doing a lot of research to form your opinions, but I find it seriously hypocritical how this community keeps saying, "Don't trust anyone, but trust me." It makes no sense. Like, don't listen to anyone, don't let anyone tell you what to believe, as they're being told what to believe by some dude in his shit-stained underwear in a chat room somewhere. It's fucking silly. It's very hypocritical. Again, I'm all for questioning things you see in the media and online. I think that is the most healthy thing you can do. But when you start just entering an echo chamber and only looking up things that support what you want to believe, you're not getting anywhere and you're only making the problem worse. Now, I'm only focusing on the coronavirus aspect of this conspiracy theory. It goes much deeper with 5G. 5G itself is a rabbit hole for a crazy amount of conspiracies, especially on YouTube. For some reason, it seems a lot of YouTubers and YouTube commenters really believe that 5G is this ultimate boogeyman, like this final boss that's holding back the human species. Like, 5G is the one that's keeping us from growing wings and opening our third eye. It's weird. I don't know why everyone's latched on to 5G as this mega evil mastermind shit, but they have. But in regards to coronavirus, which is all I want to focus on, there is absolutely no possible way that 5G has caused coronavirus. You can just look at data, like real time, because it's only been a couple of months. You can see that 5G had no role to play. You can pretty much trace where coronavirus started in each area that it's in. It's right there at your fucking fingertips. You only need to look for a second in real, actual fucking sources outside of bad Twitter shitposts, anti-vax Facebook soccer mom groups. Just do real fucking research and form your own opinions. But this one is very silly, and lighting 5G cell phone towers on fire isn't doing anyone any good. You're causing more damage with the chemicals you put into the air from fucking burning that thing than the 5G arrays, the beams. This fear of cell phones and networking has existed for as long as communication has, and it's always been ridiculous. It's always been silly and laughable, but Twitter is the place that now, no matter how outlandish and how ridiculous a belief is, it's going to blow up and it's going to have a big movement behind it. It doesn't matter what it is. Like on Twitter, for example, there's whole communities of people that fuck dogs. Like this community that would never find a home anywhere finds a home on Twitter, and there's thousands of them. There's pages on Twitter that actively talk about fucking their dog and have tens of thousands of followers that all support that and do the same thing. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. So then you'll have these people that believe that cell phones are the evil, dangerous thing, and you'll have people that just want to feel like they're smarter than everyone else. You know, they're the ones that saw the truth, peeked behind the curtains and got the truth. So they'll believe these things, and they'll spread it on Twitter, and then people that are gullible, bored, or just susceptible to misinformation start believing it, start getting real riled up, and then it leads to just absolute chaos, and that leads to setting a 5G tower on fire for no fucking reason. It's just crazy shit. I don't get why people are targeting 5G for coronavirus specifically, because there's really nothing there. The only piece of evidence that's even remotely true is that there was a 5G tower built in Wuhan a couple months before coronavirus outbreak. There's another thing I see tossed around how this one's just so fucking stupid. This community plotted out every major pandemic or every major flu and correlated it to mobile towers and networking, as if that has any correlation at all. So they have like the Spanish flu and then world's first prototype mobile network. Coincidence? No, I don't think so. And there's like 6 of these and it says 6 coincidences? That's impossible. It's just so fucking stupid. You can go through history and correlate every single one of those pandemics or flus to something else too. You know, peanut butter sandwiches invented in 1914. 4 years later, Spanish flu. Interesting. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches start getting packaged in the next one. It's just dumb. This is just such fucking terrible research and evidence. And yet people are believing it at face value, probably just out of boredom from quarantine. But I just wanted to talk about it because it's got me fucking fired up, because this shit is just wacky. This isn't the same kind of fun to laugh at conspiracy theory like flat earth and all that. This one has people believing it's fine for them to go outside and just spread fucking shit all over the place, especially in a time of pandemic like this, because they're convinced they know the truth that it's the cell phone towers, not coronavirus. So then it has them hurting everyone around them. I think it's just terrible. So I just wanted to talk about that. That's it. See ya. Hi, Gavin.
Hi.
It's not often you play with children on this game. This is a fucking man's game. For just casually playing.
Doesn't it look like the Omegas from the past?
What was that?
Doesn't it look like the Omegas from the past?
What's Omegas from the past? Is that like Skylanders?
The Blockbuster. The skin. The Blockbuster skin.
Does what looks like the Blockbuster skin?
You think the Blockbuster looks like it's from the past?
Oh, do you know what Blockbuster is? Was?
Yeah, the skin.
No. Before it was a skin. Before it was immortalized in Fortnite. Do you know what Blockbuster was?
What?
It used to be a video rental service. A long time ago, back before the Fire Nation invaded, people watched their shit and played their shit on cassette tapes. They were called VHS. You ever heard of a VHS?
I've heard of a cassette tape.
Okay, well back in like the 90s, Blockbuster was the go-to shop for free handjobs and renting those tapes for your VCR player. VCR stands for Video Cassette Recorder. It's what they use to play these ancient Aztecian devices.
Yeah, but don't you think the Blockbuster skin looks like an old skin?
It's probably made that way since Blockbuster is so old.
I think it's has to do with time travel, with this time warps and.
Do you think there's like a timeline where Blockbuster never went out of business? Or do you think it was always destined to fail?
Probably destined to fail.
I got them both. We're not destined to fail here today, don't worry. I've got us.
Yeah, but I think this Blockbuster skin, I think it has to do with the past. Like
It wouldn't, yeah.
I think it kind of like went through time and space, and that's how it got here.
You know, I'd believe it. You never know what Elon Musk is doing these days. He probably invented some type of time travel device with the sole purpose of resurrecting Blockbuster like it's never been seen before.
I'm legit talking about Fortnite.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got a little... I was thinking too big scheme. Do you believe in Elon Musk?
No.
Yeah, he's like Santa Claus. I don't even know if he's real.
Nobody knows if it's real.
It's a fucking weird mystery. Do you think they're gonna release like an Elon Musk skin, maybe? Maybe that's what the Blockbuster one's hinting at.
They have a Blockbuster
Maybe.
skin?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen it. For all I know, that's just a myth as well. Yeah, let's start putting together this conspiracy. Are you like recording this for like a Fortnite conspiracy Mythbusters type deal?
No.
Okay, you might want to start because I think we're about to crack this shit wide open. With my knowledge of the past of Blockbuster and your knowledge of the present Blockbuster, we can combine forces and create like this puzzle and solve it at the same time. That's the kind of shit that keeps me awake at night. Like, what is Blockbuster doing these days? That shit could be evil. Like, maybe it is still around and we just don't see it anymore. Like, it's faded into the upside down.
Maybe it's faded into Nike.
Dude, Nike. Now you're opening up a whole new can of worms. Is there a Nike skin in this game?
No.
Oh shit, maybe
But
we might be
there-
barking up the wrong tree.
There is socks that look exactly like Nikes.
Holy
see that-
shit.
You see that picture right there?
Where?
Pay close attention to that picture right here. Look
What-
at it.
Mrs. Sand going insane. He's having a He's having a psychotic episode.
He's probably slapping virgins.
What picture,
right
Gavin?
now.
Right here.
Gavin,
Right in front of your face.
there's no picture there, Gavin.
The,
His universe is crumbling.
what? Are you insane?
No, Gavin, there's no picture here. I swear to God. What do you see on your screen, Gavin? What's the picture there?
There's a painting.
Of what?
Like a Wild West place.
What the fuck? Why can't I see it?
It's like a farm, but it's not Wailing Woods. Or it's not Anarchy Acres or Fatal Fields.
Dude, what the
There's a-
fuck? There's nothing here for me, man. Dude, I think Blockbuster's hacked my goddamn eyes.
Are you serious right now?
I'm 100% fucking serious, Gavin. There is nothing there on my screen. Right now, you just look like a fucking lunatic talking about a painting that's not there.
There's a painting there.
Hold on. Wait, I'm getting some insider reports. I have to
I'm
turn my
100%
graphics up.
Peru right now.
Hold on. Jesus Christ, Gavin! I've entered the fourth dimension. I see the painting.
You do?
Yeah, gee, why is it so fucking dark in this house? It all connects back to Blockbuster. Holy shit, Gavin, what if this is even bigger? What if... Do you know Toys R Us?
Yeah.
Dude, they just went fucking bankrupt. What if that was Blockbuster?
Bruh. Did they actually go bankrupt?
Yeah, no, dude, Toys R Us is kaput. That shit is in the ground 6 feet under. Pour one out for the homies. Dead.
I need to go watch Ninja or something to happen up my day.
Yeah, I feel that, man. You need some fucking eye bleach. Get that, pawn...
Oh.
He does the pawn... Pawn? Pussy or something?
Pon
What is it?
Pon.
Yeah, that one.
Pon Pon. Do you really want that?
Do I really want what?
Do you really want to have the Blockbuster as a skin that you wear?
Yeah, no, I'd like to. It's better to be the right hand of the devil than in its wake, Gavin. Do you fear the
By
devil?
way, I'm creeped out.
Dude, I fucking feel that too, man. The craziest part is Blockbuster was real. Like, I'm not making that up. I used to go to Blockbuster when I was a kid. You never knew what you were going to get when you popped open one of those bad boys. Sometimes you get a condom, or sometimes you'd actually get the movie you paid for.
Should I look up Blockbuster right now?
Yeah, just don't look it up at 3 a.m. You don't want to Google Blockbuster at 3 a.m. That's the witching hour.
It's only 9.
You got plenty of time then. Yeah, it should be safe. Man, I have such shit weapons. I've been hardly paying attention.
Bro, this is actually a thing.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding, man. I used to go to them.
Make an appearance on
This
the
was a
podcast
thing.
before Jmac.
I
I don't
agree.
Oh,
mind
bro,
waiting.
there's
I have
legit,
already waited
like,
80
pictures
episodes.
of it closing down.
There used to be one right near my house. I can vouch for it.
Bro.
That shit died. Dude, they fucking executed it. They took it behind the barn and put it down.
You know what that looks like? You know what that looks like?
What?
The, like, card thing? That looks like Best Buy.
Yeah, dude. I think Best Buy was like made in Blockbuster's image. Like Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and Blockbuster died for Best Buy. It wasn't as popular in the 2000s, mainly just the
it's
90s.
the same first 2 letters. Best Buy, Blockbuster.
What the dude, you're fucking blowing this shit wide open. But how does it all relate back to Fortnite? What is Mr. Fortnite doing? What are they cooking up with Blockbuster's corpse?
What is Epic Games doing right now?
Dude, I don't know. Do they have like a phone number we can call, or like a website, like whatisepicgamesdoingrightnow.org?
They do have a phone number, but they never answer.
Shit, Gavin, rockets! We're getting too close to cracking the conspiracy! Oh, I see him.
Miss me.
I got him. That was the last guy. Dude, we fucking earned it. We're about to win this game, man, and then we're coming after Blockbuster next. You're getting shot at from 255?
I'm legit scared. Are you scared?
I'm fucking pissing my pants, man. These britches are soaked right now from the fear of Blockbuster.
I'm aged.
Direct south.
I'm aged.
I'm pushing up on him. Cover me.
Brush. Yeah, he's weak. I hit him with my snipe.
I got him.
If I hit that.
He's down. One down. Let's push. Do you have a jump pad?
Wait, I need to use these bandages. I'm aged. And
Circuit City. I should have definitely brought up that old ghost.
bro, if I hit this, I'm aged.
I don't know what that means. What does I'm aged mean?
One shot.
Fuck this. Oh, we got him. That's my fucking boy right there, Gavin. We just single-handedly brought down Blockbuster and Circuit City. There's been so much negative shit going on in the world recently. Every time you go on the internet, it's just doom and gloom and sad, scary shit. Coronavirus still at large. Yellowstone threatening to erupt at any moment if someone even sneezes wrong near the volcano. You know, cell phones poisoning the water supply and making our dicks smaller. Just terrifying shit all over the place every time you go on the internet. And you know what? I put my foot down and said, by golly, I've had just about enough. I'm putting the kibosh on the negative vibes, and I'm gonna find something positive. So like any sensible man, I turn to YouTube power couples to get my fix. Because nothing says positive and wholesome quite like some affluent teenagers rubbing their parents' wealth in my face while doing fake prank videos and shit like that. So, who did I choose to tune into to get these positive vibes and this rush of dopamine? Well, none other than the Garner Gang, baby! If you've been on my channel for a long time, you know I've watched quite a bit of the Garner Gang's content, but it's been about a year since the last time we tuned in. I'm not proud to say that out loud. I feel like an estranged father trying to, kind of weasel my way back into the relationship there and take a peek. I mean, my prescription is overdue. It's been a year, but I came in for a checkup tonight. And again, I am sorry that it's been so long since I watched some Garner Gang content. That should just be an outright sin. If that's not one of the 10 commandments, then shit, Moses must have just fucking forgot it up there on the mountain. Because it is a sin. It truly is. Now, jokes aside, I don't have any problem with Nate Garner or Garner Gang, anything like that. I have nothing but respect for doing those kind of things. The reason why I'm even making a video on this is because by going to Nate Garner's newest video, I somehow found another fucking conspiracy. The internet is so fucking full of conspiracies during quarantine, it's nuts. There is an actual fucking Garner Gang conspiracy going on right now, which is what we're gonna get into. Let's go ahead and start with the video.
What's up, Garner Gang? Whoa, that's me. And this is my life. Let me show you how I got here.
It starts just like every other Garner Gang video. This seems pretty standard and ordinary to me based on what I remember from the Garner Gang. You know, full throttle, nuts to butts right out of the gate. I mean, this seems like the stamp of Nate Garner. It doesn't seem like anything's awry here. But YouTube commenters were quick to point out that there may be more than meets the eye going on here.
I got this one that says, make your dreams happen. That's what we do, Garner Gang. Big wins, making dreams happen.
It's a sponsored video. He's talking about copping some big W's, and you know what? We could all use some big W's right now in these trying times with coronavirus keeping us on lockdown. So, I mean, I didn't see a problem. You know, this just felt like a pretty standard Nate Garner Gang video, baby. I was feeling that big W energy.
Good morning, Garner Gang.
It's an acquired taste. Not everyone is going to do the Garner shuffle at home or anything like that, but, you know, some of us higher intellectuals, we like to hit it out there with the Garner Gang and shit, you feel me? I mean, it just fucking energizes me, man. Honestly, the whole video is like every fucking Nate Garner video I've seen, which admittedly isn't a ton of them, but it just seems like normal Nate Garner Gang content. But as the video goes on, it continues to look like normal content to the untrained eye, but the super sleuths and armchair relationship experts in the comments are quick to point out some very odd things and behavioral differences.
Because you already know it's going to be an epic one.
How is it gonna be an epic one, you ask?
Bears. Buy a luxury item. Oh, no.
For me?
Fuck!
Bro! Whoa.
You're a disaster.
I know I am.
My bank account's a disaster.
Isn't it so pretty? I've always wanted this back.
So I'll spoil the conspiracy. They say that they broke up and they don't want to admit it because that would mean that they lose some of their YouTube audience because they're no longer in a relationship or something to that effect. Everyone's got a different version of the conspiracy theory. Is it kind of like the Avril Lavigne's dead and replaced by a stunt double, a body double? It's a loose conspiracy theory based on a single video here from what I've gathered from the conspiracy theory dark net, by that I mean Twitter, that believes the Garner Gang has split up. So basically throughout this video, this is the only part of the video where I can kind of see Nate looks unhappy, but he also just got clobbered by a heavy bag and spent a lot of money on a heavy bag for the sake of the YouTube video, so I don't know.
Dude, I know you too well.
Okay, I'm just going. Oh, God, that's disgusting. I'm quitting YouTube. I'm done.
That's where the video ends. They lick a tire and then kiss quickly and run away spitting. You know, if you're kissing after licking a tire, your relationship's gotta be pretty strong, at least in my opinion. You also shouldn't be licking tires in the first place, but I mean, that comes with the territory of being a YouTuber. Who hasn't licked a tire for a couple thousand views? I mean, shit, people are out here licking colon, like actual prolapsed anus. They'll start chewing on that shit like bubblegum for YouTube views. Now let's dive into the meat of the conspiracy, the majority of which is here on YouTube, a bit on Twitter. I don't really know where to find shit on Instagram, so I didn't really look too hard there. But if you go through YouTube comments, every single one of them, almost every single one of them, is saying that they're broken up and demanding answers. It's that sense of entitlement that always makes me very upset and feel super sorry for people like Nate Garner and Carissa here. They don't owe you an explanation for something that personal. You're not entitled to it. I talked about this pretty recently. When people subscribe to a channel on YouTube and have been subscribed for a long time, they feel this sense of they deserve everything, to know everything about that person and that they are their best friend. And that leads to this crazy sense of you owe us this and we fucking hate you until you tell us this. That's what a lot of the comments echo. Others are just expressing concern, and then others are just sharing a bunch of weird information and like analyzing body language. You're not some like forensics detective or anything like that. There's no reason that you should be overanalyzing everything you're seeing in their videos. It is their private life and it's their decision whether or not they share it with their audience. It's just silly how invested so many people get in online celebrities and just celebrities in general's lives. I've talked about this shit so much, and then I accidentally fucking find this negative conspiracy shit while I'm looking for something goofily positive in any small semblance. It's almost poetic in a certain way. There's just this crazy nature for people to latch on to shit they see online and make that their whole lives. Like, if these two are broken up, I will be devastated. You see so many of those comments, so many people expressing like their lives are going to be severely altered if it's true that Nate and Carissa are not together. That's so unhealthy. That's super fucked up, and it's not their responsibility to be your rock. You know, that should never be the case. And they, again, don't owe you an explanation for whatever is going on. If there even is something going on, it was a pretty fucking normal video. It wasn't like some VHS tape out of the Ring where there was creepy shit going on that you have to analyze and figure out what it all means. It was a standard video. There wasn't like 2 frames of something horrific, you know? It wasn't like some crazy shit going on. It was just them doing a standard YouTube throwaway prank challenge, whatever the fuck they call it these days. And these people are still going rabid trying to see if they're together or not and demanding that they tell them. Then there's people that are saying it's time to mass unsubscribe from Nate Garner until they give us answers. So they're trying to like hold them ransom for answers that they don't fucking deserve in the first place. Like, you're not their friend. You know, you may be part of the Garner gang, but that doesn't really mean anything. It's just a title, you know? But yeah, I guess the only reason why I wanted to talk about this is because quarantine is making people latch on to shit like this even harder. Well, not just conspiracies, but latching on to people even harder to live vicariously through shit they see on the internet. And to get so unhealthily invested in something, to feel that level of entitlement, always makes me a bit upset and feel for the person that's on the other end of it. It's just some unhealthy shit, and it really should stop soon, hopefully. Wishing you the best, Garner gang. Again, I don't know what the fuck's going on there. If I just watched that video without reading the comments, I would just assume it's business as usual over there, but what the fuck do I know? I guess I'm not the YouTube comment experts where the real intellectuals live, in the fucking YouTube comment swamps. But I mean, anyway, that's really about it. So yeah. This week I saw something so baffling that it's really genuinely making me question if the human brain is devolving, becoming smoother, less wrinkles. It's the case of the TikTok giant. For those that don't know, there was a TikTok creator who filmed a giant, mysterious figure on top of a mountain. Was it Sasquatch? Was it the Loch Ness Monster? Perhaps Goatman? No. He claimed that he had seen a giant. And TikTok absolutely ate that up. They devoured it like it was a full course of spaghetti and meatballs. Not only TikTok though, it then expanded to Twitter, where even more people started to believe that they had just seen irrefutable proof of a giant, because there was something on top of a mountain that was big. This whole thing is like a child believing the tooth fairy's real because when they put their tooth under their pillow, there's a quarter there. It is easily debunked and has been multiple times now, but then they just throw away the truth that's facing them because they prefer to live in the magic of there being giants walking amongst us here. It's a beautiful delusion, albeit very sad too, because people are also convinced that not only was this proof of a giant, it's proof that the CIA murdered the guy for filming the giant. I think people are at this point where they are legitimately believing everything as if we're back in the like actual early ages of humans. I saw on TikTok and Twitter, this blew up, the TikTok giant. God, what was the guy's name though? There was a guy on TikTok who took a video of a mountain and there was a big figure on top of the mountain. It's like, oh shit, it's a giant. And then people believed it. They're like, we've seen the proof, the giants are real. And now the person behind the account's not posting. The person's gone missing. So they're like, the government must have got him and killed him for exposing the truth. It's so fucking crazy how, like, I actually think there have been irreparable damage done to the human brain because of TikTok. These are people, adults, actual adults. Why don't I just pull up the Twitter account that was talking about it? Talking about how it's the truth, there was really a giant there, we've known all along, and now that this guy blew the lid on it, the CIA got him and killed him. And then the guy leaned into it. He made this video about how it's all fake and it looked like a hostage video. And they're like, oh my god, irrefutable proof. You can see that the CIA is making him say these things. Where's the original post? Here's the video in question, though. Andrew Dawson, thank you. Oh, it's a giant!
Person, dude. No, seriously, pull over, pull over.
I knew they were here. I've known all along the giants existed. They called me a fool. Also, it's dangerous to scroll in the comments, but I'm pretty sure, you know, I'm not even gonna bother with the Council of Cock being down there as a possibility. Someone went on, like, Google Earth. They went over that mountain, and it turns out it's just a tower. It's just legitimately just a tower. But that didn't dissuade the believers. So, what they're saying is they must have built the tower after this video came out in order to hide the truth that there was a giant there. I shit you not. That was their explanation for it being a tower over there. They said that they made it. They put that tower in place in order to obfuscate. But this is what's on the other side. I think the top comment on this is still, the government put that there in order to hide the truth. I'm gambling, but I think I'm right with this. Okay, not the one. You another person that's trying to keep information no one cares about hidden. Everyone knows it was a giant, everyone still doesn't care. We care about the man being murdered for discovering it, though. We don't trust you. Isn't that crazy? They think the government killed this guy because he caught a video of a giant. That is the human brain in 2023. He did exactly what I told you guys I wanted to do with this whole gullible TikTok brain rot. Remember when I was telling you guys my plan of doing, like, haunted videos around the warehouse where, like, chairs move on their own? He did that with this. So after he got that video, he made this video, where he leaned into it, exactly what I said I would do in order to farm.
Sorry to disappoint you guys, but all of the videos that I posted were scripted. They're just fake. They were just strictly for it.
So, he leaned into it. He made this video like, it's all fake, you know, this and that, and he made it look like he was under duress. So people are like, clearly the CIA got to him. They're making him say these things. He did every single thing I said I would do with my farming of these fucking idiots. And they believe him fully. They believe he found a giant up here. And then the government killed him. It's so good. We live in an age where everyone has access to a video recording device at all times. Pretty much every nook and cranny of the world's been explored. And a fucking giant would be one of the hardest things to miss. And somehow, this is a confirmed giant, and it's just a coincidence that there happens to be a tower on the other side of this. Wholeheartedly believe it. This isn't even the biggest Twitter thread about it. There was a thread by this lady who's in her early 30s talking about how the government can't be trusted because they're killing us for finding the truth of things they don't want us to know about, citing this video as an example of the giant. And I believe the same woman also started talking about how they're killing people who are finding gnomes. But I may be getting her confused with someone else that was talking about it. People legitimately are believing in fairy tales again. We're going so far backwards. Charlie working for the government. I'm trying to keep you guys from the truth. You're not ready for giants. Those fucking bastards. Filthy monsters they are. I'm doing you a favor. You're not ready to... You can't handle it. Now, looking into it, there was an obituary posted for this individual from a local news source. So it is possible that he did pass away in early 2022, but people are attributing that death to a mysterious circumstance, and it being the CIA that took him out, like it was fucking Jack Bauer on a vendetta to kill this man because he had seen a giant. Why? Well, I don't know. that's not a question that ever gets asked in these situations. Just going through any natural thought process here and breaking it down, what would the government have to gain from hiding giants? Unless they have some kind of secret alliance with the giant tribe, there's just absolutely no reason they'd want to shut this shit down, put the kibosh on it. Or unless if you look at a giant in the eyes, it gives you eternal life or something, and the government's hoarding that to themselves, or their urine acts like the fountain of youth. Just nothing adds up here when you start connecting the dots. This isn't like a Men in Black situation where they're hiding aliens by going around and neuralizing everyone who sees alien activity, where the excuse there is they don't want people to panic. When it comes to giants, that'd be the hardest thing in the world to keep the lid on. Like, the cat would get out of the bag so quickly, because it's a fucking giant. They're huge. They're enormous. This one, assuming Patient Zero here was truly a giant, this one was spotted on top of a mountain fucking 40 miles away. So you'd have a real tough time. You'd have your work cut out for you to keep that under wraps. It just, like, and even if there were giants, the existence of them probably wouldn't cause a panic on the same level as, like, aliens or anything. There's absolutely no reason for the government to be hiding the existence of giants. And I can't believe I even have to say that. I feel like I'm having a conversation with, like, the D&D club at a middle school.
I think that's that same vehicle from... Hey!
Now let's break down this little humdinger here. People use this video as proof that the CIA was hunting him down and stalking him because he made this video. He's very clearly leaning into it, if you ask me. But let's do a basic thought experiment here. How likely is it that this is staged? Very. It got millions of views, so there's real incentive to play on it. How easy would it be to fake? Extremely. All you need is your friend to sit in a car outside and then drive away when you come out and yell at them. Like, just look at the video. There's just a random car out there with their lights on. So if they're stalking, they're doing a terrible job. They're just sitting right in plain view outside of his house with their lights on. That'd be the worst tale ever. They would be fired from the CIA immediately because they're fucking terrible at their job. Like, at that point, the CIA might as well have a sign out there saying, "We're watching you. Honk if you like government surveillance." Like, this would be genuinely the worst stalking ever from the CIA. And then the guy comes outside and scares the car away like a flock of pigeons on the beach. It's an extremely easy thing to stage. Where's the proof that that is some kind of unmarked CIA vehicle and an operative in there stalking him? The video just starts where he looks out the blinds and the car's already just sitting there in front of his house with his lights on. I think this is so clearly staged in order to play off of the success of the giant video, because it got a lot of attention and a lot of engagement. Now, he hasn't posted on TikTok since 2022, and like I said, there is an obituary posted in a local news source, so it is very possible he did pass away, but I will tell you right now, I highly, highly, highly doubt the government had anything to do with that. Because, again, there's no such thing as fucking giants out there. Sorry to ruin Christmas, but it's the truth. It's a tough pill to swallow, but one you've got to grow up and take right now. I would love if there were giants out there. No one would be happier than me. I would absolutely be ecstatic to learn that giants really are out there and they're coming back. You know, and then they start their own sports league or something. It'd be amazing. I'd be super excited about that. I'd also love if there was a such thing as psychics and telekinetic abilities, as well as being able to form a Kamehameha ball in the palm of my hands if I focus real hard. I would love all of that kind of fantasy shit to be real. But it's not. So there's just nothing the government would do here about a man filming a video claiming he saw a giant, because giants aren't real. So they're not gonna fucking care. It's not like he actually exposed a government secret. They'd have no reason to go silence him. This is just a wild case of people believing anything and everything they see, for no reason other than they have fun believing it. And then they fight tooth and nail for it, even when they are faced with the absolute truth of what the situation is. It's wild. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's about it. So yeah. Yeah, I love conspiracy theories, but this shit is getting out of hand. There's a new, insane conspiracy every single day. Just some wacky, goofy shit. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fucking group on Twitter that thinks Reptar cereal is the instrument of Hillary Clinton to brainwash children into worshiping the devil or some garbage. You see it all over the internet every single day with these people that like to think that they're so special and intellectually enlightened that they have opened their third, fourth, and fifth eye, they've awakened their Sharingan, and now they're seeing the truth behind everything. There's nothing wrong with questioning things, it's extremely healthy and extremely important to do, but when you question every single thing ever and discredit science and come up with some actual diarrhea dog shit, maybe you're the crazy person. Like, you have people saying, water's evil. In fact, we've been lied to all our lives. The human body doesn't require water. In fact, water was cursed by Bill Gates over 3 millennia ago, and we're not even drinking water. We're drinking a mind control potion that Bill Gates has got to us. In fact, the only fluid we should be consuming is a Diet Coke via enema. Please, join me, enlightened brothers, and you'll have like 50,000 people on that Facebook page that all agree with that. It's just crazy shit. Like the Wayfair conspiracy is another big one where everyone said they were human trafficking people in fucking wardrobes and shit and pillows. It's actual nonsense, but everyone likes to think that they're seeing the truth, which is what makes conspiracies so appealing. And once you get ingrained in a conspiracy, once you start believing in it, you're never going to change that belief, or at least the majority of people don't. Like flat earthers, for example. Flat earthers are like Looney Tunes villains that can't do anything fucking right to support their point. Flat earthers in their own documentaries have proven themselves wrong multiple times and then just throw that away. Like in the end of the most recent documentary I can think of on flat earthers, they proved the earth is round with their own experiment and they said, that's interesting. Must have done something wrong. Even doing their own experiment perfectly correct and proving the earth was round, they just said, no, it's still flat, even though this proved it was round with our own science. You can't convince people of these things because they just don't want to believe it. They'd rather stay believing in some garbage to make themselves still feel like they're special. Like people that think the moon is fake, you could literally fly them to the moon and they would say it doesn't exist. They'd say you drug them and just put them in Nevada on a CGI set or something. No matter how many times and how thoroughly these awful conspiracies get debunked, people are always going to believe them. It is what it is, so now I just kind of enjoy the chaos of it all, and there's been some absolute bangers when it comes to bullshit conspiracies recently, like spirit cooking is a really good one. There's also a wild one about the tablets of Thoth being used to resurrect an ancient deity from the underworld who's going to rise and exterminate Earth for its sin. Another really cool one I've been into is that Atlantis is real, and the previous god of Atlantis is very upset with the state of the world, so to get back at us, he started cloning celebrities. I don't know how exactly that, punishes us to just clone celebrities, but apparently that's what the god of Atlantis is doing, according to a bunch of people. It's just some really fucking incredible stuff. Like, these conspiracies make Sonic the Hedgehog fan fiction sound sane. And when I mention conspiracies like this, it's not like one person who's having some kind of bad acid trip and writing this shit down in some kind of journal. It's communities of people that believe this. I'm deep into conspiracy Facebook groups and stuff, just kind of reading about all of it and getting a little bit of a giggle out of it. But admittedly, it is sad to see people genuinely believe some of these things and be fearful of this boogeyman who's coming from like the 12th dimension as a time-traveling pedophile to steal away people's families or something. It is sad to see people kind of believe these things and act so out of fear online about shit that absolutely isn't true at all. But that being said, I thought it'd be fun to add some fuel to this fire here, and I'll bring up a conspiracy that I believe in. I'm sure some of you might remember this. Berenstein versus Berenstein Bears. I made a video on this a few years back, kind of blowing this shit wide open and spreading the cheeks of this conspiracy to get into the meat of it. And I think it's time, in the current climate of things, we reopen this one. We gotta open this wound up again and pour some salt on it and figure out what the fuck is going on. So, to break down the Berenstein versus Berenstein Bears conspiracy, growing up, there was a very popular book series called the Berenstein Bears. Or at least that's what the government and the reality puppeteers would have you believe. What I remember growing up, having written reports on this book series, was it was always called the Berenstein Bears. And the majority of people in my age range, 25 years old, also remember it as Berenstein Bears. However, if you check the so-called official records and the history of this planet, you'll realize that it's never been called the Berenstein Bears. It's always been Berenstain. There wasn't some kind of rebranding from Steen to Stain. It has always existed as the Berenstein Bears. When I learned about this, I went back through all of my Berenstein Bears books to see for proof. Look, it was called Berenstein, only to realize in shock and horror that my once authentic Berenstein Bears books had been subtly changed to Berenstain. As if some kind of adjustment bureau, some kind of, legion of tooth fairies or something came in when I wasn't looking and they very subtly changed the name to Stain over Steen. Semi-chubbed and in a panic, I began searching throughout the entire internet for proof that it was once Berenstein Bears in this corporeal dimension we inhabit. However, everything points to the fact that it was always Berenstein Bears. So then what's the explanation? Well, most people chalk this up to the Mandela effect. For those that don't know, the Mandela effect is when a large group of people remember events differently than they actually occurred. Basically, it's just a large group of people that misremember something, and oftentimes when faced with the truth, people say the truth is wrong because they have these vivid memories that don't match up with it. And yes, memories aren't the most reliable source when it comes to figuring out what's real and what actually happened. However, in this case, fuck you. I am not wrong. You can hold my nutsack in your goddamn mouth. It was definitely Berenstein Bears at some point over the last 25 years. Like I said, I used to write reports on these goddamn things, and I used to write it as Berenstein Bears, because I didn't know what the fuck steen was, but I knew what a stain was, obviously, because I was fucking staining my diapers with fucking shit constantly, so I knew what a stain was. So I'd write Berenstain, only to lose points on my reports, teachers just fucking scratching it out. Charlie, you're never gonna make it in college with this kind of garbage. Because they said it's not Stain, it's Steen, so I'd lose points, and then I got it really fucking ingrained in me that it's Berenstein instead of Stain. So this has like a personal connection with me. I fucking know it. I still believe it. And so, what is the other explanation? Well, a lot of highly intellectual truth seekers believe that at some point in the last 25 years, the multiverse has collapsed in on itself. So the multiverse theory suggests there's infinite number of universes, and at some point in the last 25 years, our Berenstein timeline collapsed on top of the Berenstein timeline, causing subtle changes in the two as we transformed into this Autobot of disappointment. And that's why we're left with Berenstain instead of Steen, and only some of us remember it as Steen instead of Stain. The chosen few, the cream of the crop that remember it as Berenstein. So there's a fun little conspiracy to play around with, I think. Hey, that one's got some meat to it, I will say. The Berenstein versus Berenstain one that one's near and dear to my boners. Like, that shit, I think, is really weird. Because, like I said, I really do remember getting points off for writing Stain, because I thought it was Berenstain as a kid, but I was told it was Berenstein. And I wish I could find those reports, but obviously I don't have homework from 20 years ago. But anyway, yeah, that's about it. See ya. I've stayed silent on this topic for too long because I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but you know what? Maybe a little tough love is what you need. Maybe a nice firm spank on the bottom is exactly what you're missing right now, and you know what? I'm here to give you that fiery kick in the keister. I'm sure you've all heard of the Mandela effect. It's very well known now. The Mandela effect, for those that aren't aware, is the phenomenon where a large group of people all share the same false memory. The biggest example of this is actually where the name comes from, Nelson Mandela. Well, I mean, Nelson Mandela is real. It's not like the false memory was his existence. Nelson Mandela was very real, but it's named after the time where a large group of people thought that Nelson Mandela died in prison, when in reality he didn't. But there was such a massive number of people who all swore that they remembered hearing or reading that Nelson Mandela died while in prison. But that just didn't happen. So the Mandela effect refers to this phenomenon where a large number of people all collectively share the same false memory. It's just super fascinating, and over the last 8 or 9 years, it's becoming more and more common and more talked about. Like, here's an example of one I just saw on Twitter the other day. Cheez-Its. And I'm still saying it wrong. Cheez-Its never existed. They have always been Cheez-It, not plural. I always remember the box being Cheez-Its with the Z at the end. In school, we always referred to them as Cheez-Its, like, oh, what are you snacking on? I'm just having some Cheez-Its. Jonathan just choked on a whole bunch of Cheez-Its and ended up in the hospital sending prayers to his family. You know, we always referred to them as Cheez-Its, so it's deeply ingrained in me that when I talk about them, I use the plural. But they've never been Cheez-Its. It's always been Cheez-Its. But this isn't one that I'm super passionate about. This one's entirely possible that I was just a dumb, stupid, milk-drinking, glue-sniffing kid and just got it wrong and never bothered to correct it. But there is one that I am extremely passionate about, and that's the Berenstein Bears. I made a whole video on this like 5 or 6 years ago now, I don't even remember, going into this giant rabbit hole of Berenstein Bears. But that never existed, apparently. It's always been Berenstain, which I still, to this day, refuse to believe. There is some tomfoolery in the quantum realm going on right now, because I very, very distinctly remember writing book reports on the Berenstein Bears, and I was corrected when I used stain, because as a kid, the word stain was a word I knew. You know, I'd fucking shit stain my britches, my parents would talk about stains, I knew the word stain. So Berenstein Bears is what made more sense to me at the time as opposed to steen. So on my reports, I remember I wrote stain and was corrected to writing steen. I know it was steen, I still very much believe that, but it's apparently always been stain, another example of the Mandela effect. But why am I talking about this today? It's not mainly to focus on all the big ones like Berenstein versus Berenstain and all that shit. It's because there's actually some Mandela effects revolving around me on the internet that I just want to clear up. And this might be mind-blowing to some people, but it's time I finally wake you up and break you out of the simulation so that way you can actually begin to live in reality, knowing full well that it's the truth. There are so many people that firmly believe, would swear on a stack of Bibles, that I made a video on the ShamWow. They believed that I made the real ShamWow video, an infomercial dub for the ShamWow. This is a belief that people have held for years now, and I'm telling you, I never did. I promise you, I never did. But I still, daily on Twitch, will see a few messages or even have someone subscribe, resub on Twitch with a message saying, I've been following you ever since you made that video on the ShamWow a decade ago. I've been following you for decades since you uploaded the ShamWow infomercial dub, something like that. And I do appreciate it. I sincerely tip my fedora to you, Quantum Time Traveler. But in this universe, I never made that video on the ShamWow that you swear you saw. In this godforsaken realm of the multiverse, it wasn't me who did that. But this is something that so many people swear by. And it got to a point, like between emails and Twitch chat, I had to check myself. I had to double check here just to make sure that I wasn't the one hitting the crack pipe. But I have reconfirmed yet again, I never made a ShamWow video. I never did a dub for the ShamWow or anything like that. What I think is happening here is people remember 13, 14 years ago, Djibouti Dubs posted a ShamWow dub, and it was really popular. In fact, Djibouti Dubs is what inspired me to do commercial dubs of my own, and the ShamWow is one of his most iconic. So I think what happened is people remember that ShamWow dub, and they remembered that I also used to do commercial dubs during that time. So they just started crossing wires. They started mixing the proton beams together, and they got their memories all fucked up and, you know, all cattywampus. But I also did do a video kind of similar to the ShamWow, which was the Real Mighty Thirsty video, which is an infomercial dub for a product that's similar to the ShamWow. So it's also possible that they're just mixing the name up. But when I point that out on stream occasionally, people will get, like, combative. Not mean or anything, but like, no, I really remember you saying these things about the ShamWow. And they'll list off, like, a joke or two that I've never told ever, and that isn't in the Mighty Thirsty video or in Djibouti Dubs video, so I don't know what to tell you. This is just a great example of memories not being the most reliable when it comes to accuracy in the truth. Over time, things just start getting all fuzzy and blurred, and then you end up with false memories, which is what the Mandela effect is all about, like the unreliability of memories. Unless we're talking about Berenstein versus Berenstein Bears, then we all know the truth is that it was Berenstein. Berenstain is a no-good, dastardly fraud, and I will stand by that till the end of time. Doctor Strange could peek into 1 billion universes and never find one where it's actually Berenstain. There is something wrong, and I truly believe it has always been Steen. But I digress. Anyway, back on topic. There's another big false memory that people have about me and my channel that I'd like to clear up as well. So, there's a large number of people that believe that my channel used to be named Critical, and somewhere along the way I changed it to penguinz0. For at least the last 3 years, I've gotten emails, and especially in Twitch chat, many messages asking why I changed the name of my YouTube channel. And I've never understood it because I've been very vocal about never changing my name across like the last decade. I made this channel in 2007. I was 13. It was a name that I just came up with because I liked penguins. And penguins spelled properly was taken. Penguins with a Z was taken. So penguins with a Z and a 0 was available, so I took it. There wasn't a whole lot of thought that went into it. It was just the brain of a toddler. And I liked penguins. I still like penguins. I think they're unbelievably cute. And that's all. And I never changed it. I never touched it. I also do have an explanation here for what could have happened. When I started doing commentary, which wasn't until like 2010, I always said, "What's up, everybody? It's critical." So the more times I repeated that over the course of like 8 years, the more people associated that name with the channel to the point where they probably stopped looking at the channel name and just assumed the channel name was critical. But in reality, it never was. It has always been penguinz0. It's never ever been changed. I really do genuinely find everything about the Mandela effect to be fascinating, just super interesting to think about, because there's no reason why so many people would collectively share the same memory that's wrong. Like, there are just so many people that swear by things that are just not correct. Like, for example, me and Cheez-Its and Berenstein Bears, which are apparently not accurate, but I vividly remember seeing them that way and reading them and writing them that way. And so many others like me have those same memories, but we're all wrong apparently. So it just seems so weird that a lot of unrelated people from all different parts of the world can share the exact same memory that happens to be false. I don't know, I just find that to be super odd. And when it comes to my channel and the Mandela effects surrounding some of my content, it's super weird because now I'm on the other side of it. So again, to tie it back to Berenstein, as everything always does end up back at that argument, that whole debacle, the people behind the Berenstein Bears franchise, the whole property, they can't understand why anyone would have ever thought it was Steen. Since there's never been any confusion around it, it has always been Stain. All of their marketing has been Stain. Everything has always been Stain. So they don't really get why anyone would have gotten it wrong, especially all of the people that have, like me. And now that I'm in this position, I can't understand how anyone ever thought I did a ShamWow video or how anyone ever thought I had changed my YouTube channel name. I don't know how those things started or where those memories came from because, from my perspective, none of that was even close to being true. I never even considered making a ShamWow video, and I'd never even remotely considered changing my YouTube name. Yet so many people really think I did both, or one or the other, I suppose. And I don't know, I can't wrap my head around where it comes from or how that shit starts, but it's just super interesting to me. And I'm sure the Mandela effect is something that all of you have experienced to some degree, or at least understand to some level. And I just thought it'd be something interesting to talk about today because it applies to my channel as well. So yeah, hopefully this cleared up some confusion or, blew your mind or something in some way. That's about it. See ya. There's a fascinating controversy brewing right now around whether or not a sun bear in a zoo in China is actually a real creature or a man in a bear costume. I'll go ahead and let you form your own opinion here, because that's the beauty of being an individual with your own thoughts. Let your eyes tell you the story before I give you the real story and hit you with the cold water of the truth. So, you can see that the creature is a bit odd. It looks like something out of Spore. By far the weirdest part about it is the bear's ass. It looks like a Krabby Patty. It actually looks like Homer Simpson's lips. So this is the video that popped off. You can see him standing up, kind of sizing up the crowd, looking at everybody like he's about to go shake them down for their lunch money here. He's looking kind of menacing. He's got his mouth open, but he also just looks super sweet. Even gives like a little wave with its flippers, because it doesn't even really look like it has paws. It has like these tiny little fucking flipper things. It's adorable. Like, seeing the video, I think, makes it a little more clear that it's probably not a man in a bear costume. It's just a really weird bear. So when I first saw this story, I actually thought this was an older case because I do remember something like this happening about a year ago, but it turns out that was just for a comedy sketch. That wasn't a real thing. This is pretty new from what I can tell, where people really thought that it was a man in a bear costume, myself included. Those pictures really do look like something that you'd find at like a furry convention, like some kind of costume somebody made. It doesn't look like a real animal. It's got more loose skin than like my elbow. Like it is a wild creature. Apparently sun bears are just the smallest bear species, so when it's standing up, it looks like just like a person. It's not, you know, some kind of hulking bear that you're used to seeing. Like this looks like some shit out of the Berenstein Bears, right? Like it doesn't seem like a real bear. So when I saw this, I was like, it's a cut and dry case of a man in a bear costume. This must have been a joke. But it turns out, no, this is like actually what sun bears look like and how they act. So I'm going to go ahead and play you the stream clips where I tackled this case head on, and I learned a lot about sun bears. You hear about the Chinese zoo denying the claim that one of their bears is a man in a bear costume? That's not a new story. I remember that from like a year ago. Because I've definitely seen this before. And I think it's pretty obvious that this is a man in a bear costume. Like, this is like Hank Hill level ass. Shit looks like a pack of hot dogs. No bear has a tuchus like this. That's definitely a man in a bear costume. Apparently sun bears look like that. What the fuck is a sun bear? Sounds like some kind of mythical creature out of Dark Souls. Maybe a sun bear costume. Well, okay. Because it looks like they do pack the same ass. Shit's out here looking like grill marks. It's just the same guy. There's no such thing as a sun bear. It's just a couple of guys that have a costume, and it fooled the zoologist into thinking it was a real animal. They got weird tongues. Weird, well, really weird everything. But I don't know, even still, this face doesn't look natural. I mean, we just looked at its tongue, and the tongue, like, was, like, hanging way out to here, basically. I don't know. I'm not convinced. This is convincing. This angle. Why would they lie? I don't know. Just to see if they could, I guess. Sun bears, the smallest bear species in the world, are generally the size of a large dog. Oh, wow. The folds help protect the bears from predators as the looseness allows the bear to turn around in their skin and fight back if a large animal like a tiger were to get a hold of them. You're telling me there's an evolutionary purpose to all these fucking ass folds? That's wild. And it's got like sea lion flippers. Like it's like the most incomprehensibly smart thing ever, but at the same time super fucking stupid with the solutions that it finds. How are we gonna protect us? Just give it a lot of ass skin, so that way if something bites our ass, we can move around a little bit. What about horseshoe crabs? There's so many fucking creatures out there that have just been condemned, forsaken by evolution. Like the, what's the actual name of the blobfish? It's a really embarrassing species. But the reason it looks so gross and looks like a goofy face when you bring it up to the surface is because it literally implodes. So, like, as you take it out from its, like, high-pressure environment, it just implodes. But that one's pretty embarrassing. Evolution did it dirty. A lot of sea creatures are like that. There's one that's called the pinnacle of evolution, the perfect species, because it hasn't evolved for, like, actually 20 million years or something crazy. It's the, what is it? The something worm? Hagfish, not a worm. Hagfish, yeah. This thing. And not because it's, like, perfect, like, you're not about to see handsome Squidward or anything. The reason it hasn't evolved is because it just literally doesn't need to. It found the perfect solution for its environment. So this is the hagfish. And what it does is it's just this gross-looking little worm thing that when it's either threatened or anything like that, it just excretes really, really thick slime. Super slimes. It just Nickelodeon slime times whatever's after it. and it clogs up its mouth and it kills whatever attacked it. The slime gets clogged up like in their gills and everything, and they die. It's not worth killing, and it's such a fucking hassle, and it's actually really adept at surviving, all because it can super slime. Got a little sidetracked with hagfish once again, as is known to happen. Hagfish are a remarkable species of bewilderment. But back on the topic of sun bears. So, it is a real sun bear from everything I can tell. Of course, I'm not a fucking zoologist here. I can't say beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's a sun bear for sure and not a man in a bear costume, but based on everything that I read and everything I researched, it's most likely a real sun bear. But I really love to suspend disbelief for a moment here and play with the idea that it's actually a man in a bear costume. What would be the goal? Let's start looking at this in a philosophical way and start speculating. If it is a man in a bear costume, or if it was a man in a bear costume, what could they possibly gain from that? Well, I've been racking my brain on it. So let's picture a dystopia where most animals are extinct, right? We're losing tons of animals all the time. There's a lot of species that are on the brink of the extinction. So let's just toy with the idea that all of them go extinct. Like that famous streamer clip, The government's lying to us, the aliens aren't talking to us, the animals are leaving. All the animals leave, right? So now we've got nothing left. That's very bad for business at zoos. So, what if they spent a lot of resources and a lot of time developing very convincing costumes that look realistic enough to fool us into thinking we're looking at the legitimate species? So when there's no animals left, they can still fill zoo exhibits with, people in costumes that'll work part-time when the zoo's open and then, go home. They'll clock in, clock out in their costume, right? So it's species you're used to seeing in zoos, bears, giraffes, and all of that, and the costumes are really convincing, and maybe there's animatronic components to it, and this was their first attempt at trying to slip it in there to see if they were at a point where they could fool us with the costume. I don't think that's the case, but what if? What if it was? This was their first foray into like a alpha test, seeing if the prototype's good enough to get people speculating on if it's a real bear or not, or if it's convincing enough that everyone assumes it's just a real sun bear. It's just an interesting thought experiment. What could be the goal if it is a man in a bear costume? And that's the only conclusion I can come up with. Of course, it is not a man in a bear costume. It is most likely a very real sun bear, but who knows? You can't trust anyone, not even bears. So, yeah, I just thought this was a fun little topic to go over briefly. That's really about it. See ya. You all know how much I love conspiracies, reptilians, flat earth, the revival of JFK Jr. and his upcoming presidency announcement, 5G, Wi-Fi, reprogramming gamer DNA, fucking microchips hidden in our spaghetti. I love all of it. But what if I told you there's a new and growing conspiracy that makes all of these look rational? I'm talking about the secret space program. The secret space program, to break it down, is basically a group of people who believe that they were at one point selected by space Nazis to fight intergalactic threats, and they are augmented super soldiers that have lived on Mars for 300, 400 years in some cases. They command high-tech mechs like Gurren Lagann shit straight out of an anime. And it's people who genuinely believe this. They have their own seminars, the meet and greets, they have their own community. I was recently made aware of this thanks to a YouTuber named Oki's Weird Stories, a fantastic channel, and a lot of work went into a video he produced where he talked about and infiltrated this conspiracy group. It's truly amazing. We watched it on stream, and I'll play clips of that now. But I'd encourage you to watch the full video to get like the absolute all-encompassing experience, because I can't do it justice. There is so many layers to this onion, not even Shrek could get to the bottom. It's fucking amazing. But my god, I was blown away by what I was seeing and learning. So I've of course done my own research on it now, and it is even better than I could have possibly imagined. The secret space program is where LARPing, fanfic, and main character syndrome all collide into this singularity, this fucking supernova of entertainment. It is amazing, and it wouldn't be nearly as enjoyable if people didn't actually believe it. From everything I can see, this isn't some kind of joke movement or anything. Like, of course you have the fun ones like birds aren't real, but you all know, and not to spoil the surprise or ruin Christmas, tell you Santa's not real, the Birds Not Real movement is made as a joke. And I know that's kind of blasphemous to say, but in comparison to the secret space program, which is taken very seriously.
Person for the White Dragon Society. With me here is Chodoin Daikaku. He's the head of the world's martial arts societies, and if necessary, and in an emergency, he can summon up an army of 200 million people worldwide.
This guy? This guy looks like a sex doll. Is there a human being here? Or, like, the quality's so bad I can't even tell. Is this flesh? He can summon up an army of 200 million people, and he's the head of the world's martial arts committee?
Here on my right is Alexander Romanov, who is a grandmaster of an Illuminati group that claims to have started the French, Russian, and American revolutions.
Wow.
Imagine if someone told you they lived out the plot of the movie Total Recall. That they thought they were living a regular life until one day they recovered memories of being a secret agent fighting an evil organization on Mars.
I'd say that's a fucking good man.
Who is an Akashic reader, healer, and telepath. And he also remembers being in a facility that trained his shapeshifting abilities, in which I was also a participant of. He recalls experiences
Can you still
as a
shapeshift?
super soldier in Kruger and has done training missions with zombies and vampires.
Well, there was one kid.
There were zombies and vampires on Mars?
There was another a female that
surely we could
turned
cure
into an eagle,
zombieism,
and that was used for surveillance. I myself was a blue wolf.
Upon realizing this, I started to formulate a plan. What if I made up a story about being in the secret space program?
Well, that's all they do.
James' show
Yeah.
and share it
See,
with his
I mean,
community.
that's easy.
And that's how I finally found an angle that compelled me enough to make a video about this topic.
You don't join the SSP, swine.
So if my
You
goal
were
still sounds too
chosen.
vague to you, I set up a criteria for 2. Get onto a major platform.
Well,
within
just
the
say you're part of the
community as
Blue
a
Wolf
whistleblower and share my
shape-shifting crew.
experience. I developed
Easy.
this criteria after thinking what's required to become an SSP whistleblower. Before World War II, the Nazis, who were interested in mysticism and alternative views, searched the planet for fantastical powers. They found Maria Orsek, a medium and leader of the Vril Society, who channeled Nordic and Draco reptilians who offered the
Holy shit,
Nazis
this
the
is a lot.
schematics behind anti-gravity technology and UFOs. The Draco reptilians
I
told
always
the
knew
Nazis
this was
about ancient alien
happening
technology hidden in
somewhere.
Antarctica, and in 1938, the Nazis traveled there. And by 1950, the Nazis were on Mars.
The new Schwabenlanders didn't want to support Hitler at the end of the war because they considered him.
Let me catch up on the lore myself here at base 211. The new Schwabenlanders. Was that like a real division in the Nazi Germany, or is that just what the secret space program made up? The new Schwabenlanders. No evidence. Bro, we don't use the E word when we're talking about the secret space program. We just feel it. They have unlocked memories, dumbass. Evidence. Fuck. What are you? Huh? Some kind of science believer? Idiot.
Insane.
This guy has lived for 330 years on Mars.
In
Okay,
SSP
you don't
lore,
understand.
The Nazis capable of space and
facts
time travel
yet.
became the Fourth Reich.
You don't have
And
the
they pissed
lived
off to Antarctica
experience.
in space while refusing to proceed and began an aggressive expansion out into the solar system, setting up
So is the
bases
entire
on
secret
moons
space
around Saturn,
program
the
Nazis?
Kuiper belts, and etc. Capable of time travel, the space Germans also traveled back in time to settle on planets around the galaxy.
In their own lore, they made themselves Nazis? Why? So they're part of the new Schwabenlanders? Alright, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go say goodnight to Tiana. And then maybe interrogate her to see if she's part of the secret space program and she's lying to me.
Offering services to help recover secret space program related memories. At the top of the list was James, and for $200 USD, I could book a guided meditation regression session with him.
Draco reptilian humanoid hybrid, and then I think I also got like Anunnaki.
Do you know who you might have been in a past life?
Have you heard like the Black Samurai Yasuke?
You were a samurai?
Yeah. Dude, hold on. I'll show you something. Check this out.
That's pretty dope. And I was a gladiator.
Oh no, that's awesome.
Oh wow.
The goal here, I want us
He
to
could
get
learn a
into
lot from
hyperspace.
James.
Let's put a gold sheet thought into it. Just imagine what do you think?
Imagine
would be
Oki just
behind that
becomes a
door?
real believer.
So let's start with that, and tell me what you see.
I see Kevin Spacey, or his clone.
Paul Serene, he was on the governing council of the ICC. So his clone is Kevin Spacey.
We're in a gymnasium.
Wait, what? So wait, is that part of SSP lore? Kevin Spacey is like a figurehead in the secret space program? Oh, okay, so Monarch is responsible for human trafficking, sex, mind control, experiments, and chemtrailing. I knew it. Fucking Kevin Spacey was behind it all, that son of a bitch. Evil bastard thought he got away with it. Didn't expect us to be hot on his trail. Luckily we broke away from Atlantis though, so we cut the connection. But Kevin Spacey himself is a clone of Paul.
We're in I think I see.
Oh, nice. Thanks for the rubber feed.
Mr. Beast.
Today, we will be planting 20 million trees.
Okay, so they're probably programming him. But he's the guy that was near to give away a bunch of free stuff on the videos.
Yeah.
They must have looked into his future and okay.
So a few days later, I traveled to Las Vegas and landed at around 12 p.m. after a 4-hour plane ride.
Man, he went all in for this video.
I'm here.
Traveled fucking 5,000 miles for a 45-minute interview.
Disclosure, 5D events.
This is going to be an exercise in patience for me.
No, this is going to be an eye-opening experience for everyone. We're all going to leave here thinking we're super soldiers from space.
The golden nugget.
And experience this up on the starship.
Is he the only one here?
I spoke with the commander, the Arcturian commander, who I am connected to.
That's how we connect?
This concert, this Travis Scott concert, where 800 people were injected with these drone mosquitoes. You know, you see that, wow, they can go around.
So that's
and
what
inject
happened.
people.
Jesus Christ. It is so hard to believe that people like that exist, man. Not only exist, but have other people that believe them. Like, they have influence over other people. That's fucking wild. Think about that for a second. I've said this a million times. No matter how stupid you are or how outrageous your beliefs, you will always have an audience thanks to the internet. You will always find people that agree with you, support you, worship you, or just at the very least provide camaraderie in a positive echo chamber because you are connected to everyone at all times through Twitter and Facebook. So that guy who thinks at the Travis Scott concert 800 people were injected with, what was it? Some super space mosquitoes or whatever. He's got 100 other people in his Facebook group that all think the same thing. Wild.
We get to go to How to Become a Jedi Warrior.
I'm excited about that one.
That should be, yeah, that should be productive.
Unfortunately, when we showed up to the How to Become a Jedi Warrior workshop, no one was there, not even the speaker, so it was canceled.
We just got in here, we have no idea.
Oh man, what the fuck? Well, they're too busy having sex, I bet.
Just gave up.
On Mars.
Quantum spoon bending, parentheses, bring your own spoons, close parentheses.
And the quantum spoon bending lesson was underwhelming since, instead of learning how to bend a spoon with our minds, we were instructed to physically do it with both hands.
What the fuck? It's real! Oh my god.
While walking around the venue, I noticed that James had sent me a text inviting me to his hotel room for an interview. Suddenly, a wave of anticipation and euphoria washed over me. This was it. Finally, after several months,
he ends up getting like Harvey Weinsteined by James.
I ran back to the workshop room, found Night Docs, filmed the interview, and to get to Jay's hotel room as soon as possible.
Night Docs, go with him. Keep him safe.
Therefore, being late
oh
was
my
not
god.
Enough. Night Docs, who was behind me, was still trying to attach
The super soldier's
camera to the
unpredictable.
gimbal, which would not fit. By then, any nervous anticipation I felt leading up to this face-to-face sit-down had completely dissipated.
Yeah, you
I
just
was
get to come in here
knowing
and
that I was more than
make
prepared
some
to
shit
speak
up.
about my time in the secret
Have some
space
fun.
program in a convincing manner. The interview lasted 1 hour, and here's what happened.
Okay, so my name is Oki. So it started from before I was even born, where they genetically enhanced my DNA. And by the time I was 6, I was put into a special program run by Monarch. I was under direct tutelage of Paul Serene, Kevin Spacey's clone. There was 12 children.
Oh my god. Luckily, James didn't pick up on that. He just got the lore wrong. Paul Serene is not the clone of Kevin Spacey, Oki. Kevin Spacey is the clone of Paul Serene. Oh my god, the whole operation just went tits up. There's no way James didn't just... Oh my god, there's no way James didn't pick up on that. Oh my god. He blew it. He fucking blew it. SSP's on his tail now.
Who were trained
He's hunted.
directly
He's a
under
hunted
him,
man.
including myself and the YouTuber Mr. Beast.
So
every method they could to use MK Ultra programming and to create killing machines. And I was able to just look at a photo of a target and make their head explode. Because I mean, there was billions of dollars spent on each and every single one of us. I particularly liked
That sounds like Kevin Spacey's research.
I liked my my 2 daggers. I had a form of EMP that I could take out there.
He's a Reddit assassin.
In my past life, I was
on Mars.
Yasuke, the Black Samurai.
Did any of your clones ever get changed into a zombie?
I had a clone.
I like how that's one of James' core questions. Have any of your clones been changed into a zombie? James makes it sound like he doesn't even know what the fuck a zombie is. He makes it sound like it's a state of mind. The clones would have to die first, James, and then Kevin Spacey and Paul Serene would have to do a fusion dance in order to bring out the proper necromancy on Mars at the Knockwaffen to revive them, for them to be zombies, James. Jesus Christ. He's getting lost in his own sauce. He's not even following his own rules in the secret space program.
That clone actually was fighting zombies and vampires. And there was also Yetis that they were fighting.
What about vampires? Do you recall any scenarios fighting vampires?
He just said that, James.
This particular thing.
He's killed 1,000 of them with his bare hands.
Is that they can't help but count. From what I remember, most clearly is
He
that
wanted
I
that
do
so
have
bad.
many different clones of myself with used pretty much as like kamikaze pilots.
Typically, at least what I heard, black people require a different protocol of brainwashing.
Time flew by, and I was struck by the effortlessness of
the super soldier is many things, but a coward he is not. He will ask the hard-hitting questions. He will go where no other space program super soldiers will.
Story which I crafted. I spoke for 1 hour.
He actually
with ease
fucking
and told
said
my
that.
story so coherently. I was playing a role, and even though I created the role, while I was performing it, it was like a switch in my brain went off, and everything I said felt real.
That's
At that moment, I
100%
managed to
true.
delude
That's how
myself
it
and
works.
Speak matter-of-factly about
That's
being
why these
trained by
communities
Kevin
exist.
Spacey's clone, along with Mr. Beast. Whistleblower testimony that they've heard on James's channel so
Yeah.
far, and one person even said that they cried the whole way through the video. So that's that.
Oh my god. Hold on, I want to read that. I'm so sorry you had to do that. Thank you for your bravery. Oh man. God, like, to a certain extent, I feel bad for them. Not in particular the secret space program, like them too, but in general, people that truly believe these things, like wholeheartedly separate themselves from reality to exist in this new made-up world. It is sad to a certain level. God, that was amazing. This is criminally underrated for the work that went into this. Dude flew out from Canada to Las Vegas to a secret space program meeting in order to have an interview with the #1 figure in secret space program super soldier lore. The 330-year-old ass-beating, ass-eating super Goliath James.